After 2 years on deployment, all I wanted was to come home, to hold my wife, hug my son, and live a quiet life. But I was wrong. The peace in this new suburban neighborhood is just a facade, because inside my home, something is growing, and it's feeding on the souls of the people I love most. Get that thing off of him. Now, the scream tore from my throat before I could stop it. My wife, Anna, dropped the kitchen knife she was using to cut vegetables. It clattered on the floor. My son, Sam, was sitting on the living room rug, and it was resting its head on his lap. "Leo, what is wrong with you? You're scaring him." Anna ran over, placing herself between me and our son. She told me I had post-traumatic stress, that my experiences overseas had made me paranoid, volatile. But I knew what I was seeing. That thing was not Sunny, the golden retriever she told me she'd bought while I was gone. It had the shape of a dog, yes, but its skin was loose and wrinkled like a poorly fitted suit. Instead of the gentle, friendly face of a retriever, it had a leathery mask stretched into a permanent, soulless grin. Its eyes were just two deep black holes. "Daddy, you're scaring Sunny." Sam whimpered, his lower lip trembling. I looked at my wife, desperate for a sign of recognition, but her eyes held only fear and concern. She was afraid of me, afraid I was going to hurt our son. And it made me see a therapist. They all said the same thing: severe PTSD. I tried to believe them. I really did. But every time I saw its leathery, grinning face, I knew I wasn't crazy. I had to prove it. I video called my old army buddy, Mark. "Hey, check out the new dog," I said, pointing the camera at the thing. "Jesus Christ, what is that abomination?" Mark yelled. My heart pounded in my chest. Finally, someone else saw it. "Come over this weekend," I said. But when Mark arrived that Saturday, the nightmare deepened. He walked in, saw the thing, and smiled. "Hey there, Sonny. Look how big you've gotten." He walked right up to it, scratching the thing behind its leathery ears. I stood there, frozen. What happened? Why couldn't he see it anymore? That night, I put sleeping pills in my wife's and son's drinks. When they were sound asleep, I approached the thing with a length of rope. My plan was simple. I was going to drag it to the backyard pool and drown it. It didn't fight back much. I easily dragged it outside and pushed it into the deep end. Its grinning mask stared up at me through the chlorinated water. Just then, a strange sound came from Sam's bedroom upstairs. A choking, gasping noise. A father's instinct took over. I let go of the thing and sprinted up the stairs. My son was on his bed, his face turning blue, his hands clawing at his own throat. He was drowning on dry land. Panicked, I started performing CPR. After a few terrifying seconds, he coughed violently, a huge splash of water erupting from his mouth. He began to breathe again. When I turned back to the hallway, my blood ran cold. It was standing there, in the doorway of Sam's room, dripping pool water all over the carpet. Its mask head was tilted slightly, as if observing me with curiosity. I understood then. Its fate and my son's were tied together. To kill it was to kill my son. It was checkmate. I had lost. In the days that followed, I lived like a ghost. I had to pretend. I watched my wife grow thinner, more pale. One afternoon, I saw Mrs. Gable from down the street, walking her poodle. She looked as gaunt as my wife. And her dog, it had the same leathery, smiling face. I started paying attention. My neighbors, the ones with pets, they all looked drained of life. And their pets, they all had the same deformities that only I could see. This town isn't just quiet. It's sick. There's a plague spreading, a parasite hiding in plain sight. Last night, I followed the thing into the backyard. It pried open a sewer cover and climbed down. I knelt and listened. I could hear sounds coming from the darkness below. Not barking. Faint, human moans. I'm writing this down, not for help because I know it's too late for my family. I'm writing this as a warning. If one day you notice your pet has a strange, new smile, if you see your neighbors growing weaker every day, run. Get out before you become an owner too, before you're tethered to your pet forever. This story was created to explore a terrifying concept. When the things we love and trust become our greatest threat. What do you think Leo should do next? Is there any way out for him and his family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy stories that crawl under your skin, please like this video and subscribe for more nightmares. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have pleasant dreams. The worst deaths, in my opinion, are accidental, not the calculated evils of murderers, not the slow fade of illness, but the foolish moments, the lapses in attention that turn a life to dust. I've always been haunted by stories like that. The hunter who mistakes his friend for a deer in the woods. The toddler who drowns in a pool because an adult turned away to answer the phone for just 30 seconds. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine being the one left to carry that weight? To me, that is so much more terrifying than any ghost story. I would rather be haunted by a spirit than by the suffocating ghost of my own guilt. My husband, Liam, is the opposite. He's unbothered by accidents but petrified of horror movies. I know ghosts aren't real, because if they were, my best friend would definitely be haunting me. Although in some ways, she is. You see, whenever I read a news report about a prank gone wrong, I stopped breathing for a moment. Guilt chokes the air from my lungs. It was a summer party 10 years ago. Our group of friends had rented a modern, isolated beach house. There was me and Liam, my new boyfriend at the time. There was Noah, Liam's best friend. And there were my best friends, Jenna, Chloe, and Sarah. We were all in our 20s, full of life and a stupid, reckless energy. And that night, we all had a lot to drink. And Chloe, she was the soul of every party. The funniest person I'd ever met. She was a professional prankster, but she loved being the center of attention. She had a crush on Liam, and even though she knew we were together, she couldn't resist a bit of playful flirting. It made me, insecure as I was, feel a small, sharp pang of jealousy. I forget whose idea it was for her to hide in the box, mine or hers. On the deck next to the pool was a huge storage box. The plan was simple. Noah would be the victim. When he went out to the deck, Chloe would burst out of the box and scream. A classic jump scare. We were stupid, stupid, stupid. Alcohol had eroded all of our good judgment. Once Chloe had squeezed inside, complaining about the heat, Jenna and I helped her close the lid. "Make it quick, guys," Chloe's voice echoed from inside. Jenna and I went inside, tried to convince Noah to grab a float. I remember walking over to the sliding glass door to look out. But at that exact moment, a summer thunderstorm rolled in with sudden violence. The sky turned a bruised purple, the wind howled, and rain began lashing down in blinding sheets. Everyone scrambled to get inside. We turned up the music, kept drinking and dancing, the prank and Chloe completely forgotten. A while later, a prickle of anxiety went through me. I went to the glass door, peering through the rain-streaked pane. The deck was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the pool lights. I squinted, and I thought I saw that the lid of the box was slightly ajar. "It's fine," I told myself. She must have gotten bored and came out. I went back to the party, a wave of relief washing over me. At least, I think that's what I saw. But I was drunk. The next morning, the storm had passed. Noah asked where Chloe was. Jenna and I looked at each other, then laughed, asking him about the prank. He looked completely clueless. The storm meant no one went back outside. A cold, metallic fear began to bloom in my chest. Oh God, I thought. Oh God, oh God. We all rushed out onto the deck. The box was sitting there in the morning sun, its lid shut tight. Noah tried to lift it. "It's stuck," he said. Liam tried next. "No, it's locked." The box had a new, tricky sliding latch. It definitely wasn't locked when we closed it. Panic set in. Liam and Noah grabbed a crowbar from the tool shed and started trying to pry the lock open. I'm ashamed to say I turned away when I heard the sickening crack of the latch breaking. Liam was the one who opened the lid. I didn't look inside. I didn't have to. I heard Sarah's piercing scream, Jenna's horrified gasp, and Noah's string of curses. Liam came to me, his face pale as a sheet. He wrapped his arms around me as I collapsed into sobs. She'd suffocated, of course. A prank gone wrong, the authorities ruled. A tragic accident. My friend said then, and still say now, that ultimately Chloe was responsible. That all of us were a little guilty, but none of us was wholly responsible. But it was my hand that helped close that lid. Night after night, I lie awake, thinking about her gasping for air in the suffocating darkness, and I can't breathe. But the real reason I'm writing this is because of something that happened this morning. Liam and I were assembling a new wardrobe. He was struggling with the latch on one of the doors. "This latch is a nightmare," he grumbled, fumbling with the mechanism. "It reminds me of that stupid lock on the deck box at the beach house. Remember that thing? You had to press down hard on the lid right here while you slid the bolt, otherwise it wouldn't catch." He said it so casually, completely unaware that my entire world had just shattered. I stood there, frozen. An icy chill crept up my spine. I remembered what the police had said. They mentioned a strange detail. On the inside of the box lid, among the hundreds of frantic scratches, there was one small, perfectly clean spot about the size of a palm. It was as if a hand had been pinned against the lid from the outside. And now I'm thinking, I am more and more certain that when I looked through the rain that night, I saw the lid was ajar. It was ajar. And I'm wondering, if Liam never touched that box until the next morning when it was already locked, if he never closed it, never tried to lock it, then how did he know the precise mechanics of how the lock worked from the outside? How did he know that you had to press down hard on the lid to make the latch catch?